All right, guys. This, as promised, I'm going to give you a little walkthrough on a couple of these computer chassis and doing the cleaning, and I'll use the camera as much as I can to show you what's going on here. So I got three computers here that we're going to use as our examples. We have this one here, and these are our two targets for cleaning out. And as you can see on the larger tower, there's some exhaust panels over here where you can even see that there's like dirt and dust sticking to it. So this must be where the air intake is for this case, meaning that it expels the air out of the back. So what you want to do, we'll do the big one first. If you look on the back side of your case, you're going to have a left-hand side or a right-hand side. The left-hand side is going to be where the motherboard is, and you're going to notice the motherboard's on this side because all of your inputs are going to be towards one side. Say where your monitor and your keyboard and all that kind of stuff plug in, it's going to be on one side. You don't want to open the case on the same side that your motherboard is because there's going to be nothing for you to do. So we're going to go to the opposite of that side, and you want to take the case off, which is usually the side panel, and it usually comes off in its entirety. Two screws usually hold them on, so you just get a regular Phillips head screwdriver, and you take the top and bottom screws off on a regular one. And then this one has a little grabber, a little handle on the back. So you want to pull that little handle backwards towards you, and then that front panel comes completely off. So then you have the inside of the computer case. And so I'm going to mess with the camera here and bring it in kind of close. And so that you're going to lose me, but you're going to see what's inside this thing. Okay, so what we got here is the big fan in the center. This is your CPU fan. Okay, there underneath it is going to be a heatsink, and so the fan blows straight down on the heatsink over the fins, and then the fins blow air out the side, and then the heat dissipates off of the main CPU. Then on the back of the case we have another fan, and that's right here. This is going to be an exhaust fan, where after the air is drawn off, it pushes it out the back. Now on this one, the GPU, the graphics card, just has fins. It does not actually have a fan on top of it. So basically what you can do is you could just blow this out, get the dust and the dirt off of it, and that's plenty. But with the main fan, the CPU fan, what I'm going to have to do is use a screwdriver to get down into the screws. And this has 4 screws on this fan. And then so when you take that off, let's see if I can get past these cables here. And you want to be real careful because, you know, if you do something wrong with the CPU, your computer won't start. So after you get those 4 screws off, this housing that has the fan is going to pop off, and then you're basically going to see the CPU. The whole thing's going to come off. You're going to have fan and heatsink in your hand when you pull this off. So what you need to do is once you have it off, you can take the fan off and blow it out. But if you can keep this, if you look at this fan and it's not too gummed up, I wouldn't take it off unless you really couldn't get and dig anything out. Then it's worth a disassembly. But you want to blow that out pretty good. If you see any dirt on any of the fans, you know, scratch some of that off, get as clean as you can. Use a can of compressed air, an air compressor, to get down in there and blow as much of that crap out of that heatsink as you possibly can. In this one, there's a light coating, so I would definitely take a canned air to this and get as much of that crap off of there. Any surface area that you see dust on, you want to blow off. You do not want to wipe down surfaces like the main circuit board or any of these expansion slots, because something can get stuck in here, and there's a ton of little tiny copper pins in here that if they don't make contact with your expansion boards, it won't link up, so you'll put a board in here and it just won't work. So blow everything off that you can. Anything that's plastic, you can use rubbing alcohol on if you need to be able to clean it off, and then use as much compressed air. You can disassemble this and blow it out if you need to really get in there, but hopefully you don't have to. And then around the rim of the fans, you want to get a paper towel in there and really get that stuff off. Now, as far as the power supply, this portion of the case, this is the housing for the power supply, and as you can see, there's a fan in there. And this, again, has one side where you have air intake and one side that you have exhaust. And so what you want to do is you want to blow this out. Take something that's non-metallic and stop the fan from spinning before you do that, or else it'll overspin the fan and you risk ruining the fan and your power supply. But this gets extremely hot, and your power supply already is probably, it doesn't last quite as long as they once did, so you want to keep this guy really cool. So anyway, these are the components that are inside. Like I said, lots of air in there because the point is to get as much airflow as you can. So when you clean these things out, you got to give the computer as much airflow as then you can help it to get. So in this case, because of how we have this dust that's on the front, I would take the whole front part of this case off. It just pops straight out, and I would clean the whole front part of this, because if I've got my air intakes all blocked off, then it can't draw enough air through there to exhaust out the back. So front part, and you basically see these clips over here. You take this clip, this clip, this clip, the front part of it pops off, and then you can see on the inside of this case that these holes are all gummed up, especially on this side. You can see how much dust and dirt is on that. That's worth cleaning out, blowing out. And then as you can see, this is the other side of that. All these holes acts like as a grill, so you're going to have all kinds of dust and dirt that's on the front of this. Again, worth cleaning out. So that's the typical. That's the big tower that you're most likely to see. The second one is going to be these little mini chassis, and it's going to be the same thing that you're used to seeing in the big one. Okay, so you're seeing here the motherboard is on the right hand side. Okay, but this doesn't have screws off of the back. These have a little clip here that when you pull it, the side pops right off. Okay, so then this is off, and when we turn it off, it's way more compact. Okay, but same thing. We have some fans, we have some gooped up dust and dirt that's in there, but you're going to do the exhaust fan, the chassis fan. You're going to be able to do the CPU fan just like the others, but you're going to have to take more apart on these smaller form factors because they're more compressed. So in this case, power supply is just a smaller version, and then all of our fans, you can really clean that out. But again, the same rule applies. If it's plastic, use some rubbing alcohol to get the stuff that you can't blow out of there, but don't do circuit boards. Don't rub down or mess with circuit boards if you can help it. So that is both form factors you're likely to get into. Now, laptops are a little bit different of an animal, because laptops have a plastic chassis, and there's not a whole lot of cleaning that you can do without disassembling the chassis. Let me put this up so you can see me. So if you get the chassis taken apart, then you can get in there and start cleaning it out. But your best goal is that you're going to have underneath the laptop is where your air intake is likely